We're going to move on to some local news now, because that's something we love to cover here on the Politics Show on Kingston Green Radio. And joining me on the line now is Simeon Linstead. Simeon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us. Simeon, I just wanted to touch on Friends of Manor Park did a really fantastic event. I think it was on the 10th, a bulb painting event, and there were some great pictures where you could see the local police officers with their painted rocks and painted bulbs. It looks absolutely fantastic. Simeon, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what the event entailed?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the bigger picture at the park with Friends of Manor Park, one of the things we do, we're trying to improve all the green spaces within the park. There's lots of bits to the park, sort of sports facilities, halls, playgrounds, etc. And a big part of Manor Park are the green spaces. Manor Park's the second largest park in the borough of Kingston. It's 25 acres, and we've got some lovely sort of wooded areas and sort of meadow areas. So some of the things we're trying to do is to increase the biodiversity of the park, and doing that encourages more wildlife. If you get more insects in the park, you get more birds and bats that feed off the insects, and also improving the biodiversity makes the park a nicer place to be from a human point of view. So part of that is we do bulb planting. And a lot of the bulb planting we do is sort of within the wooded areas. So we've got a copse down by the railway line where we've been putting in, and we did this weekend, wood anemones, wild daffodils, bluebells, snowdrops. We started that process last year, and we had an event where people came along and helped us plant bulbs. And we got some money from the local councillors, and we repeated that exercise this year. So this year we got £1,000 from the St James's councillors. They have a discretionary fund, and we bought about 5,000 bulbs of different shapes and sizes.
Sounds like a fantastic event. Simeon, tell us about the Friends of Manor Park group. So when did it start, and how long has it been going? Because it seems that, particularly at that last bulb painting event, the turnouts and the people actively involved is massively increasing.
Yeah, absolutely. The group, last April, we advertised a meeting in the hall at Manor Park, and that was to kind of announce that, as a community, we wanted to do something with the park, because in parts it was feeling a little bit unloved. So we put up some flyers, and about 140 people turned up, and they told us what how they wanted to see the park improve. They mentioned things like better security, better playgrounds. The paths are not very good, or there really aren't that many paths in the park. Some people said they wanted to see a cafe. Some people said they wanted the park just to be generally better looked after. So we took that, and then we tried to get people to join in the group. And after a sort of a couple of months, we formed a committee and had a meeting last summer and sort of officially constituted as a group. And then we thought we'd do an event. So last September we did what started off as a litter pick, but it sort of turned into a big conservation event, because we had the input of this amazing guy called Elliot Newton from the Environment Trust, who came along, and we restored a pond, we restored a wooded copse area, we cleared literally tons of rubbish out of the park. So that's the sort of the history to it. But there's a great, I think, thirst or appetite in the local community to, I think, improve some of our local assets, and Manor Park is one of our key assets.
And Revivify Manor Park is something I've seen loads about, particularly on social media. And am I right in saying that there was a recent kind of update where the Mayor of London has pledged, is it £15,000?
Yeah, that's right. It was an amazing thing that happened. I'll give you a little bit of background about the whole Revivify Manor Park. The playground at Manor Park is due to get some funding from the council, and we've been sort of working on finding out what the community wants from the playground. And one of my colleagues, Fiona Soul, who's on the committee, the secretary on the committee, she went up to the GLA, and they were doing a big presentation on the power of crowdfunding and the scheme called Crowdfund London. So the people behind Crowdfund London, they said, well, look, you're kind of biting off bits of work here in the park incrementally. And they said, well, you put yourselves in a very good position if you created a 5-year, a big master plan, a sort of community-led plan. Get out to the community, find out what they actually want from the park, get the community to sort of reimagine what a park means to them. So if you go and pull together a plan like that, it will make funding a playground, new paths, better security, and make all those things a lot easier to get big grant funding in. So Fiona had a sort of ridiculous deadline of about a week to turn around a big sort of get our Space Hive funding site done. And she got that done and has rallied together a team of fundraisers, and they've gone out and they raised, I think it was about £3,000 from the local community. From, I think it was about 120 people have contributed. And because we have such good local support, the Mayor of London came along and has put £18,000 in towards the crowdfund campaign. So it's been absolutely amazing.
That's fantastic. And Simeon, are there any events planned coming up? I appreciate it must be so busy at the moment with everything going on, but what are the kind of future plans for Friends of Manor Park?
Well, we're just, funny enough, we're having a meeting later on this month, putting our plans for 2019 together. Now, 2019 is a really interesting year because it is the 90th anniversary of the park. 90 years ago, next year, Columbia Records basically bought the ground and turned it into a big recreation ground. And it was about 3 years after that that the Malden Coombe Council bought the park and sort of made and basically created a space for the general public to enjoy. But this is why we're doing Revivify, because it's the 90th year and we want it to be a sort of a kind of renaissance for Manor Park. So we'll certainly be doing some event to go in line to sort of support that. We'll be continuing with our conservation work, so there'll no doubt be some work going on probably in February and March. We're certainly planning to quite extensively, subject to funding, plant up a couple of meadow areas with wildflower, because we want to have some wildflower meadows, so that area of grass by the road, and there's an area at the back we've already started working on, but you need to spend a few years getting lots of seeds in there to sort of really get those meadows established. We're also looking to start an orchard project, which would probably kick off at the very end of next year, but it'd be a community orchard. And that's a project we'll do if we can get a group of people together who would want to get behind that and basically run it. And the idea would be that local families would adopt a tree and we'd get into the whole sort of edible theme at Manor Park. We did a little bit of that this last weekend because we sort of stripped out one little copse area and planted loads of wild garlic in there. And you've already got lots of blackberries and slowberries in the park. So we kind of want to go with that theme as well because that's quite fun. So there's plenty going on next year. And actually, one other thing just pops in my head. We've got we'll be doing in April. We're doing another we started last year a nature day. So it's a whole day where we get children into the park and we try and show them what the wildlife is, and they'll do some sort of bio blitzing, which you're sort of trying to sort of maybe do a bit of pond dipping, etc. Last year we had First Old Malden Scouts all came down and spent the day in the park with us. There was over 100 people there. So stuff like that. So lots and lots going on.
Simeon, if people want to get in touch or find out more about those events, the best way is probably social media and Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We're pretty active on Facebook in particular. So there's Friends of Manor Park Facebook group. There's the Old Malden Residents group, which there's loads going on with. We also have a website which has got a lot of information on there and has all our events promoted.
Thank you so much for talking to us, and keep up the good work, because it sounds absolutely brilliant, some of the stuff you're doing.